Hello everyone and welcome. So today's session is all about how to use the HSDS Data Catalogue and the Catalogue of Services. So this is a session focused on really helping you understand what these catalogues are, what you can expect from them, and how to use them as efficiently as possible. So we're going to spend a little bit of time walking through both catalogues. We'll try a live demonstration, and then there's plenty of opportunity for you to ask lots of questions as we go along. And the aim is by the end of the session, you'll hopefully feel confident navigating both resources and know where to go if you need further help. So very quick overview of what we're going to cover today. So I'll start with a bit of a short introduction into both catalogues. We will then go into a demo of the data catalogue. We're then going to come out of that and we can have a Q&A session on the data catalogue. Please feel free to keep any questions for that Q&A or just drop them in the chat as we go along as well. We'll then move into the second part where we'll look a bit at the catalogue of services a bit more specifically, give you a demo of that, and then we'll round things up with a Q&A on that or indeed on anything from the session today. So very quickly before we begin, just to introduce my colleague, Nikki, who is the Training Communications Manager. Some of you might have come across him previously. So he is going to be helping facilitate the session, hopefully picking up things in the chat and triaging that for me as well. Brilliant, yeah. And just a quick note on conduct as well. We're obviously committed to creating a friendly and respectful learning environment. And so we just ask everyone to be courteous, which I'm sure everyone will be. If there are any issues at all, however, you can get in contact with us either directly through the Zoom chat function, and you can send Nikki or I a message directly through that. I've also put both of our emails up there, which we will try and monitor as we go as well. If you have any other complaints, anything else at all, any compliments that you want to get in contact with after the session, we also have a central HSDS help email there at the bottom of the screen. Just to say as well, before we finally move on, this session is being recorded, so we will share a recording of this hopefully early next week, and obviously all of the slides will be available to you as well, so you don't have to worry about going mad trying to write down everything we're saying. You can just focus on the content and obviously get in contact as well if you need anything after the session. So we'll just start with a bit of an introduction to the catalogues. So the HSDS platform provides access to two related but distinct catalogues. So we have the data catalogue and the catalogue of services. They've been live for quite a few months now, so you might have had an opportunity to look at them already, but if not, this will provide a really great introduction to them. Both are designed to really make heritage science data and expertise easier to discover. So rather than searching across multiple platforms that are sometimes disconnected, the idea of these catalogues is they bring together a lot of that information into one place. I've just done a bit of a screen grab there so you can see kind of the one sentence blurb just off our website. There's also links to both of them there that obviously once this presentation is circulated, you can use to click directly through them as well. So with regards to the data catalogue, the data catalogue collates heritage science and conservation data into a single searchable resource. So it includes both the actual data and the metadata from a wide range of activities. So these are things such as artifacts, sites, heritage investigations, various types of analyses, conservation work. It's got survey data and some digital imaging, 3D models, things like that in it. So you can see it's quite a big remit, and it's quite a lot that this data catalogue is potentially covering. Once we get into it a little bit more, you'll see how we can filter records by what the data kind of specifically relates to, where it comes from, when it's created, all things like that. And at the moment, the data catalogue holds just under 10,000 records. Obviously, the expectation is this is within its first year of infancy, really. So as time goes on, this will be built on, and more records relating to heritage science and conservation will be added. I think now is a really good time to get on board with this and learn how to filter the database to create really good, powerful searches. On the other hand, we have the Catalogue of Services, which is a little bit different. So rather than datasets, this catalogue focuses on services and facilities. So it's a place where so it holds details of places where you can carry out research, you can access expertise, you can also look up specialist equipment that might be available for you to use as well. We have various filters that we can categorize by, which are kind of useful depending on what you want to find, what kind of resources you want to access. We'll go through all of those as well when we get into a bit of a live demonstration. Currently, it holds, I think, 38 Riches funded organizations. So it's kind of intentionally focused at this age rather than comprehensive to every single organization in the UK and further afield that might be useful for research. So we're going to think about the data catalogue. I've got a couple of slides which we'll just run through very quickly before we get into a bit of a demonstration. So when using the data catalogue, it's quite helpful to think of it as sort of a portal for exploring different kinds of things. And you can search and browse records. The actual data often lives somewhere else and it's accessed via sort of clicking through various steps, which we'll cover. Most of the records follow a really nice, consistent structure. Um, so it's really, really good. It's really consistent and you can kind of find information that you might need really quite quickly as well. The catalogue is designed to really support discovery and kind of help you understand what exists and where you can access more information. I'm going to switch in a second to sharing my screen and we'll navigate over to the catalogue. Just before we do that, we're going to try and cover the general interface and how we navigate that. So how results are displayed, the kind of search bars and filters that are available. I'm going to do a couple of searches so you can see that in practice, and then we'll use some of the filters as well to refine the kind of information that we can pull up. Just as a final thing, before I stop sharing this screen and switch to another one, you can see here there's a QR code and just a link. So if you want to follow along, you can either just go to a browser and type in Heritage Science Data Service and find our catalogue through that. You can scan the QR code, or maybe if in a second I'll stick the link in the chat as well, so you can click directly through that. And you can see there as well the example landing page, so you know if you've ended up in the right place. If you just land on the Heritage Science Data Service homepage, you're obviously presented with this one. Up here at the top, you've got various options, and one is called Data and Services. If you click on this, it then takes you to our search catalogues, and you see you've essentially got two options. This first one here is the data catalogue. So as that's what we're going to cover right now, that's the one I'm going to click into. And you can see here, we're back onto that landing page I showed a minute ago. On this page, you can see the main results. These are displayed currently just as a long list. I'll just very quickly run through some of the different ways that you could view these. Obviously, you've got the sort of data, the metadata really about what we're looking at. So you can see the total time it took to pull out the search. You can see how many records are being displayed, the page you're on, and the total number of pages. So yeah, we're viewing all records currently, which is just under 10,000 there and nearly 500 pages worth of results. You've obviously got a navigator here, so you can start to just click through and have a look at exactly all the results, or navigate all the way back to the start. You can change the order in which results appear. The default tends to be this issue date by the most recent, but you have different options here as well. You can change by publisher, for example, A to Z. So there's different ways that you can display your results there. You can change how many results are coming up per page as well. So you can switch it to 50. You can obviously see this all updates. So now there's only 200 pages worth of results. More important is probably the filters over on this left-hand side here. So you can see here filters, and we have a few different options that I'll talk you through. At the top, we have a search bar, and if you wanted to perform a really quick search, you could enter anything from a term, a place, anything that you could think of that you might be interested in straight into this search bar here. So let's type animal bone into there and hit enter. And you can see here, we've now got results for animal bone. There's about 260 results, 13 pages. The search term we're searching pops up here. And then we've got all of our results, everything that relates to animal bone. You can refine this a bit further. Here, where it says all fields, we're obviously searching across everything that we have. The underpinning principle of this database is based on a what, where, and when parameter. So a what being a title, a where being some kind of location, here it's called place, and a when being a time period. So you can start to refine your search even more. So let's say we only wanted things with the title animal bone. We can hit go again, and you can see it's reduced from nearly 300 results down to 6 results already. Similarly, if you wanted some kind of place, you can select place. Let's type in York, where I'm presenting from, and then it's pulled up all of the results that have something to do with the location York. Similarly, time periods, you can type in some kind of cultural-based time period here, like Roman, and hit enter. And it's pulling up records that it thinks have something to do with Roman. Um, and you can see here each time it's telling you how many records you have. Let's cancel that. So let's go back to our search term animal bone. You can see here we've got quite a few different results. When you just search in all fields, it's bringing up everything possible that's to do with animal bones. So you can see this top one here is a site report. The next one down is a radiocarbon date. So they're not always specifically relevant to what you want possibly. If we click in one, you can kind of see the basic display of a result. You can see you've got some kind of map viewer at the top here, which you can zoom in and out of. So you can see where your specific item you're viewing is located. So out near Carlisle here. You've got a title, there's some kind of description about what you're looking at, and then you have all of the metadata. So the interesting points here are some kind of origin ID, so the ID of the record you're looking at. The landing page, so this is a DOI, and if you click on it, it will take you out to the specific record, the data that you're looking at. So this is where you click if you want to find out more information about it, or you might want to download some of the data that's available for it. So you can see here, I don't think this one has data associated with it. Some of the ones as we click through will do. It also tells you all about where it is located, what kind of subject terms are related to it. I'll cover these in a bit more detail in a minute. We've got the Getty Arts and Architecture Thesaurus subject, which I'll show you how to filter in a minute. We've got what kind of date it relates to and what kind of categories it involves. So whether it's a data set, you can click on all of these. You can see they're all hyperlinked, which will take you back to the results page, but searching for that specific term. The other thing, just back to our main item page here, is you can see all of the information about when the record was created and ultimately who's responsible for it as well. The licensing information is also interesting because it can tell you about the reuse, so how you can reuse this data and incorporate it into any of your own research. Underneath this sort of main filter search bar, we have a where search. So this is a map viewer. So this provides you a heat map. If you click on advanced search, it takes you onto a larger version of this that you can actually navigate around. So you can see currently we're looking at nearly all results. Let's clear that and hit advanced search. So we're looking at all the results in the catalogue. You can see from the heat map, these predominantly relate to the UK, but there's a smattering across the world as well. And this is because a lot of the data that we're holding currently, whilst we have a UK focus, we also accept data from organisations in the UK that might be conducting research across the world. And also we do accept data where there's no other obvious repository for that data to go. So this is why we have a smattering of data all across the world. You can sort of pull this map around and you can use your mouse wheel if you've got one to zoom in, or you can use these plus and minuses. If you want to search a specific location here, we kind of have these three tools that can draw various polygons. You can draw a polyline, you can draw a freehand polygon, or you can draw a square polygon, a rectangle polygon. So if I know that I want to view data around a specific location, let's say York again, I can select, I've selected the square polygon this time, and I can click and hold, and drag a box around York. You can see there in the little kind of grayed box that pops up is telling me how many hectares I'm searching. And then when I'm done, I can release the mouse and it instantly pops me into that location I've selected, and it's showing me all of the records that exist in that location. A lot of these you can see there's multiple records for the same location. So you can click on these and they expand, and you can see here's a couple of radiocarbon dates, for example. If you wanted to then go back and view all of these records, rather than clicking on every single item, you can hit display a search result, and then it takes you back to this main search table, but this time it has that polygon selected. So you can see here it says the bounding box we've got selected, so the bounding box within which we're searching. Let's just go back into the advanced search here. The only other thing that's kind of useful potentially is you can change the base mapping. So currently we're on Ordnance Survey mapping, but you can have sort of topo maps, Google Satellite, hybrid, Street View. So if you have a preference for that, you can set that up there as well. So let's navigate back to the main filters. We also have a when filter here. So if you have specific time periods you're interested in, you can enter these directly into the boxes. So we have a year from and a year to. So if you're interested in, I don't know, let's say some of the medieval periods, so 1066 to 1500 there, you can hit apply, and you've now reduced your results by that date range, which you can see up here. You can also, on this main sort of table here, select your date range a little bit more manually. So you can see as I move along the, so we have a timeline by the number of results. As I move along, it's showing me how many records there are for each of these time periods. So here, if I hover over, it's showing me how many records are from 1350 to 1400, and it's saying there's 319. I click on that directly, and it will search for that time range there. Let's clear that out. I can also select a range, so I can go back and hover over a range, press the control key on my keyboard, and then drag a range across that timeline there. So I can search a range like that. If you want to see a bit of a bigger version of this, you can hit the advanced search, and we have a bit of a bigger version. So you can do exactly the same things. You can select a single time period, or you can draw a range, or you can type into your search bars here. The eagle-eyed amongst you, let's clear those filters, will realize to get prehistory, you would need to add a minus, then the dates you want. So let's say we want some Neolithic material. So you would apply those as a negative, and that's now searching in prehistory there. And then you can hit display a search result again, which is hopefully showing us all of the prehistoric material that we wanted to see. Under those sort of key, so the title, the location, and the period, we have a whole bunch of other filters, which can be very, very useful as well. These are more kind of set to specific search terms, and these are tagged in the metadata of the records. So you can see here when we're looking at resource type, this is currently for the whole data set. Most of the data that's currently in the catalogue relates to radiocarbon dates. So it has the dating tag, and you can see here there's nearly 9,000 records of those. There are also other records, so there's some fieldwork reports, archives, scientific analysis. So if you wanted something more specifically, so you only wanted to see building surveys, you can click in the resource type, hit building surveys, and it applies that filter. If you know your Getty Arts and Architecture thesaurus term, you can also type it in here. Very fortunately, it's also coming up with popular ones where we have a lot of records for as well. I know animal remains is one, and you can see there it's filtered that down, and there are 9 records for animal remains. And click that again, it applies that filter. In terms of publishers, currently all of the data we have only comes from the Archaeological Data Service. So this is probably not a useful filter at this stage. But once there's more data in here, you could search by specific publishers. So if you knew who published lots of data that might be relevant to your research, you could type this in here or view the list. The contributors, you can see a list of all of the different contributors here. So here the Council for British Archaeology provided all of those radiocarbon dates that we just saw a minute ago. So you can see they're one of the top contributors there. In here is a combination of organisations, but also individuals who might be writing reports. If you know specific commercial units, for example, you can go ahead and view the kinds of reports that they're putting in here. So, for example, molar records here. You can start to filter by country. Hopefully that's quite self-explanatory. I'm not going to go into that very much. You can see most of our records relate to England there, but there's a smattering across the other countries and across all countries across the world there. The subjects, so this is organizational defined. So it can be quite useful to finding certain types of reports and certain types of data. So you can see here, if you wanted specific field surveys, there's different kinds of cemeteries and barrows and trackways and all things like that. So you can get really quite specific into the kinds of information that you're searching there and the kinds of subjects that you want. The data type, sorry, is another method to start to reduce down to the kinds of methods being used. So for example, if you're doing a project where you're looking at loads of geospatial data and you want to see what kind of geospatial data is available, you can go in here, use that filter and pull out records for geospatial data. And finally, the dating is just another kind of filter where you can click on specific cultural periods. It's quite useful because you can see how many records relate to each period itself. So that's kind of running through all of the different filters very, very quickly. The best way to search, however, is a combination of all of the different filters together. So if you know that you want a specific thing, you can hit title. I'm going to look up animal bone. And you can see here it's applied animal bone as a title filter, of which there are 6 records. Let's say I only wanted animal bone from, we'll go down the southwest. Already you can see there are not very many, but let's apply the polygon filter anyway, and let's exclude London. It's highlighted the records for that area I've just searched, so we're going to click display as search result, and we can now see that we're searching the title animal bone within our bounding box, of which we now have 5 records there. Let's say we only want records from the roughly early to mid-medieval period. So I've now applied a when filter for that. It's dropped our total records down to 3, relating to those 3 search parameters. So the what, the when, and the where. So hopefully you can see that by combining all of those different filters together, you can create really quite powerful searches. And as more and more data is put into this catalogue, the data catalogue, all of these filters combined in tandem will hopefully be able to enable you to refine your data down even more specifically to the exact terms and the exact searches that you need. Let's have a look at the Catalogue of Services. The Catalogue of Services is set up similarly to the data catalogue, but obviously instead of searching for data sets, each record on the Catalogue of Services describes some kind of organizational resource. So you'll typically see some kind of description about what the service offers, key contact details, any kind of information about the methods and techniques. And the main goal here is really to help you identify who to contact and what capabilities are at each organization if you want to carry out some kind of analysis. So the easiest way is obviously to navigate. We'll show you a demo of the Catalogue of Services as well, and we'll run through all the interfaces again. But really, I'm going to show you how results are displayed, the kind of filters that are available, where to find key service information. And I think the catalogue is especially useful when planning projects, developing collaborations, or exploring what support might be available for any kind of future or indeed current work that you might have. So as before, I've just included a quick slide here so you can see the landing page for the Catalogue of Services. There's a QR code if you wanted to scan that and follow along. There's the link there that you'll be able to click, or again, you can navigate to the website and click through, which I'll show you now. Great. So yeah, we're back on the homepage for the Heritage Science Data Service, and there we go. We go back to our search catalogues, and this time we're going to go on the Catalogue of Services here. And you can see we're onto the landing page for the Catalogue of Services. So hopefully the overall appearance is kind of familiar. It has an appearance that's similar to the data catalogue. You can see here our results showing us all services. So we've got 38 results here. Similarly, you can navigate through. So you could literally sit down and just have a browse through all 38 if you wanted. You can click on a service. So you can click on the actual title. You can see that's hyperlinked, or there's a view service option there as well. So we can click through and you can see here is the title of what they're offering. They've got a blurb about all the kind of things that they're interested in. Over on this side, you can see which organization you're looking at. So here is English Heritage, their chosen image. Importantly, you've got the service details. So who is responsible and the name of that person. You've got a contact email, so you can get in contact with them directly if you need to. You have a postcode, so you can see a bit more specifically where that service is located, but also a more general sort of country region. So here they're in the southeast. The organization ID, which is 4, which is kind of relevant if you're applying for Riches access. This training provided, you'll see a yes or no, and that's basically whether you need to know exactly what you're doing to use their equipment or whether they're happy to provide you with training, as it suggests. There's also a commencement date, so you can see whether that service is operational currently or it will be in the future and when that might be. So this service went operational on the 1st of this year. You've then got a couple of other options. You can click Apply for Riches Access. So this links you out back to the UKRI Riches website, which gives you all the information that you need to know about how to get funding to access their service if you're eligible, when the funding calls are live, and sort of key further information and where to get help on that. There's also the other access. So you can click this. I'm not going to click it because it just redirects you to an email pop out. So you can email them directly and you can inquire about access. So this might be commercial access, not covered by Riches, or if you just want to have a general discussion about the best kind of access for you, the kinds of artifacts, the kinds of analysis, anything like that, it could be a good option to click there. We'll have a look at these different kinds of techniques, asset type, and tool categories here. So these are defined by each organization themselves, and the kinds of techniques that they're interested in looking at. So you can see here they've got all the kinds of different techniques they're offering, whether it's some kind of X-rays, environmental. These are primarily various types of X-ray by the looks of it. The kinds of asset types. And you can see here, these are all the different materials that they're prepared to work on. And then the tools. So these are the kinds of equipment that that institution has. And here you might find ranging different descriptions. So it might simply just say, you know, we offer X-ray and CT, or you might find the specific make and model of the kinds of equipment they're offering, as you do here. So with the techniques, all of these are hyperlinked. So if you're browsing an organizational page and you think X-ray diffraction is exactly what you want to look at, you can click that and it applies the technique filter, and then it will show you organizations that are offering that technique. Of here we have 3. Similarly, for the asset types, if you're interested in looking at a specific kind of material, so it could be bone, that's human or foil, ceramics, you can click on that and then it will show you all of the services that work with ceramic material. So let's navigate back to the homepage of this. Over here, you can see a search filters tab. At the top, we've got a country and region. So you can click on that and you can see we've got countries initially. So Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and then England, which is broken down by all of the different sort of sub-regions within England. So you can go ahead and select one of those. So if I, being based in York, was only interested in travelling within my immediate vicinity to find services, I could select that tab. And here I've got 3 different services which are offered within my region. You can leave that search filter in, or you can clear it out. You can select your organisation directly. So if there's an organisation you know you want to work with, you can go in and select that here. If you have selected your region, only the organisations available within that region will then pop up there. Similarly, we just mentioned the methods and techniques, but you can apply that in your initial search here as well. So for example, if you're interested in different imaging modalities, you can check that box and it'll highlight all the services offering something to do with imaging. If you want to be a bit more specific about what you're looking at, you can select this little arrow here, which is a down arrow, and it then has all of the technique subcategories in here as well. So you might be interested in imaging, but specifically laser scanning, and you can select that. And it's showing you all the different organizations offering that. You can select multiple of these across different methods and techniques, and you can see here it's just applying all of the filters into this box. You can individually remove them if you've clicked the wrong one or you don't want to search that anymore, or you can get rid of them all there. Similarly, the asset types, which we mentioned a minute ago, these are all listed in this asset types search category, this filter here. So for example, you can select multiple. So if you're interested in bone and you want to look at something to do with DNA, you can select both of those. And now it's showing you 21 organizations that look at bone, for human or animal, and ancient DNA. So let's reset all those filters. I think that's the key points to looking at organizations. Just to say, when you're on your overview, the sort of the main page here, you can also see all of those sort of sub-filters I've just described are actually listed under each organization. So you can see plus 11 more, you can hit that and see all of the techniques they're offering, all of the asset types they're offering, and all of the tools, so the specific pieces of equipment they're offering. So obviously a recording of this presentation, we can circulate that, so you can obviously watch that back as many times as you want. Nikki very usefully put a link to some of our help and guidance that's already existing. So you can obviously look at that and work through it. If you've got further questions, I would say if they're general, the HSDS help email is a really good place to go. It's obviously managed and triaged, so it's the quickest place for it to be redirected to the relevant person. Obviously, Nikki and I are the kind of the face of this today, but we're not the people behind all of this. There's obviously a big team. So if it's a data specific question, we might need to redirect that to somebody else. If you've got information about the training, or you're just not quite sure where to go, or you just want to ask a general question, obviously really do feel free to get in contact. Both of our emails are on the screen there again. Aside from that, just thank you for your time today. I hope you have a good afternoon. Hopefully I'll be in contact early next week with the recording, with the slides. So yeah, keep an eye on your inbox for that. So catch you all later.